Bale and Friends. Yeah. Kacy and Monica. Kacy and Monica.
Hello, this is Ann with Dale Homestead.
Hey everyone, this is Kacy over at the Ormsby Farm, the Halfway Homestead.
And I'm Monica at Bland's Promised Land Ranch. Thank you guys so much for coming in. We're super excited for this episode. We are talking about sourdough. And we're super excited because we're going to learn right here on this episode how to make some sourdough. I've got my little thing. There's actually a name for this. I'll figure it out what it is in a minute, but this is like a little sourdough stir. Yeah, see, she's got one too.
So we're gonna have a sourdough stir. I should have been told.
Not prepared.
I'm over here with a silver spoon.
Kacy's the unprepared one, Miss Ann, not us.
Okay, we'll go with that.
We're going with that one. But we're doing sourdough, and I am super excited. But before we start, Kacy, I think you have something you want to say.
I do, because if you don't want to be Kacy and be unprepared, see how I led into that one? You should go ahead and get the Hay Bale Prepper Guide. Now, we love skill sharing on Hay Bales and Friends and prepping to have a stash of anything that we need on the homestead. This episode is brought to you by the Hay Bale Prepper Guide. While learning new skills here on the show, be sure to head over to our Etsy store and download the 99 cents, and yes, you heard it right, 99-cent Prepper Guide. You can scan the QR code right up there above my head and head over to our Etsy store. It's a Linktree link. You click on Etsy and it's 99 cents, and then you have it. And then you can take notes during this and be prepared to have a sourdough stick. I didn't know there was such thing. I literally thought, I'm not lying. I have a spoon. That's what I got.
It's called a spurtle.
Yeah, I was going to say.
This is, oh no, you have a spurtle.
Yeah,
a spurtle.
It's also called a husband adjuster.
Oh.
That is not what mine's called.
I was about to say, is that why Monica's is bent?
It's curved to his bottom. No, I'm just joking.
That's kidding.
But who in the world, because obviously the three of us are not going to be teaching you right now how to make sourdough starter. So who in the world is coming to join us?
Hello, who is this?
We are so excited because Kacy has not actually been on the podcast in almost 2 years. It's crazy. She hasn't been on since season 2. Yeah. And I'm hosting season 1. So go back and listen to all those episodes because they're officially out on our YouTube channel. But Kacy, welcome in. I have been so excited to learn how to make sourdough from you all day today because I haven't been able to keep one alive at all.
Well, I'm going to get you started.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so sourdough. First, Kacy, talk about the benefits of sourdough versus like somebody just making like a yeast-based bread homemade from home. What are the benefits between the two of them? Or benefits of sourdough?
Okay, so first of all, what you're doing is you're growing the good bacteria, the good yeast that comes from the flour. And so commercial yeast it speeds up that process. Like it's already activated and ready, and it's concentrated basically. So what you're doing during making a sourdough starter is you're creating and building that yeast that you're going to use in your baked goods. So what happens when you feed your yeasted starter, your sourdough starter, it is eating all of the flour. That's its food. So it's eating all of the flour and staying hydrated with the water, because if it dries out, it's going to die. And so in turn, what that does is it gets rid of the phytic acid in the flour genetic makeup to where your body can digest it. So that's essentially what you're doing. And so it makes it lower on the glycemic index because it's not going to spike your sugar if you're diabetic. It does make it easier to digest. Some celiacs people can digest sourdough. Some are so severe they cannot. So they know to take that at their own regard. But it is just easier digested. And it doesn't really tie into a gluten-free diet because it does have gluten in it, but it's a different makeup. A lot of people that have gluten intolerances can eat sourdough because the flour has been broken down, and it's not so much the gluten, but it's the flour makeup, if that makes sense.
It does. It absolutely does. Now, let me ask you this. In our house, we're on a special diet to try to cut out sugar and carbohydrates, but basically like a keto kind of thing.
Right.
But this sourdough to me sounds really interesting because bread is
Okay.
not on our menu.
Right. So, if I know all of y'all probably follow me on Facebook personally, and you see me posting my daily meals that I eat. It's called What's on Kacy's Plate. And I got the idea because there was a certain fad going around and they were making Tiffany plates. And I don't know what they are, but I was like, well, I'm going to tell them what's on Kacy's plate. It was just funny to me. So I started doing that. But at the same time, I had went to the doctor, did all my lab work. I've been fighting off diabetes since I was 17. It finally caught up to me when I was 40. And so I was about 37. Over the past 2 years, I did the whole pharmaceutical kind of fixing or, trying to handle it all. But I had already fought it off for like 20 years. And so I'm like, what do I not understand? Because I'm a nurse, I'm holistic, I'm an herbalist. I do all the natural things. So I'm like, what am I missing?
Right.
So February, when I went to the doctor, my right shoulder had been bothering me. And I told her, I said, what can I do for my shoulder? Thinking she was going to tell me PT or give me some steroids or something I was going to tell her I wasn't going to take anyways. So I got to her about my shoulder. And she said, first of all, you're diabetic. And second of all, your shoulder's going to hurt because you have inflammation, and you're always going to be diabetic because you have inflammation. And one is going to create the other. And I was like, okay, so I got one, I've got to get rid of the inflammation. Okay, I can do that. Anti-inflammatory diet, here I come. So then we got to talking about my cholesterol. And she said, I want one, it was one of the numbers, maybe an 80 LDL or something. She said, it will never be under 70. Mine was like it was over 100, like right at over 100. And she was like, it's never going to be under 70 because you're diabetic. I was like, okay, so me being diabetic is the problem. So
There
I got
you go.
and I'll fix everything else.
Mhm.
So in March, I jumped in hot and heavy, and I actually reversed my diabetes in 3 months. And
Woo-hoo-hoo!
I've documented all my meals and everything on my Facebook page, and I'm still doing it. So after the first 3 months, I'm like, okay, I got my A1C back. I went from 6.4 down to 5.8. I lost
Yay.
15 pounds. I was on a roll. The next 3 months, I did not do so well, but I did go down to 5.6 a couple of weeks ago. I got it rechecked. And during those second 3 months is when I started integrating in the sourdough. I started changing up some things I was using to see how my body reacted. And I do wear a monitor so I can see what it does. And during that time when I was eating sourdough, I noticed on my spikes, because I'll show you the graph real quick, but I have on there when I was eating the sourdough that it did not spike it like normal sugar does. So if y'all can see, there's a graph. It's a continual reading graph. And these little humps is where I had a little bit of sugar. Okay. And so whenever I was having sourdough, it looked like these little bitty humps. Now, when I am to eat something I shouldn't, it's going to look like that. And it's going to be even higher. This was a bad day. Don't judge.
No judgment here, honey.
That right there. So when you eat regular flour or regular food, that's what happens to your sugar. And so that's what causes the spike and the crash, where this doesn't go as high and it's not as tall and low, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So yes, that's where it comes that sourdough is good for diabetes, being on the low GI index, because it doesn't spike and it doesn't go as high as regular flour does.
Okay.
So you can physically watch that happen to your body.
Yep.
Like, no, I mean, there are a lot of us I don't have that access, but I know when I eat bread from the store or somewhere else, I know I feel sluggish. I tell my kids all the time,
Yeah.
because they're like, oh, we just get a sandwich. And I'm like, y'all can do that right now, but mama can't just do that. If I eat a sandwich,
Yeah.
Eric looks at me and shakes his head. He's like, you don't know what you're doing, do you? And I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I want a peanut butter and jelly. And I eat it. And then like 3 hours later, and even sometimes the next morning, I have a headache. I am feeling gross. And I almost immediately just feel like, oh, I was walking with him the other night after I ate a piece of bread with dinner. I was eating really great dinner, and I had a little piece of bread, and I was like, felt so good. And I went on the walk, and I felt like my feet were dragging. And he's like, are you good? I'm like, no, that like literally half a piece of toast is doing me in right now.
Yeah.
So when you went on the walk, what happened was your body released extra sugar, and it went to your feet kind of thing. It got heavy. Your blood was thick with sugar.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. You need to do that, because anytime you take in the flour, the sugar, stuff you're not supposed to have, anytime you take it in and you don't burn it off, it stores it. And if you don't burn off the sugar, it turns to fat.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so I did myself good.
What you did was you was burning off extra sugar that you had taken in during the day.
Good.
And so it was in your bloodstream. So if you would have checked your sugar, it would have been high while you were walking, because you were burning it off. But it has to come out of your cells into your bloodstream to be processed out of your body.
Okay.
So it has to go in your blood sugar, and it has to go in your bloodstream.
Love this. Okay, so we're going to do sourdough. Well, here's the thing. We're going to use regular flour, probably most of us.
Yep.
What I think I already know the answer for this, but what is your preferred flour that you would use? And if, let's just say, if you can, if you have access to other options, if you don't have access and you have to use all-purpose flour for pricing reasons or whatever, you can still use all-purpose flour, correct?
Yep.
But if you had your brothers, what would be your go-to to start with for the best?
For the best, simplest thing, I mean, you can just get Walmart Great Value flour.
Okay.
If you want to go into the unbleached part, it would be like King Arthur. Now I know Kroger has their own unbleached flour, and so you can start doing stuff like that. I don't care if you go organic or not. I'm not going to get into the organics. That's whole nother thing. But if you want the purest flour, just simply organic, I would do unbleached, because it won't be enriched.
Okay.
And so, but today we just have the plain Great Value white all-purpose flour that I have down in my bucket. That's what I bake for all my shows. So I have 5-gallon bucket down here of it. Yep. Now sitting right here, I also have einkorn. So I have einkorn berries up there, and there's something else back there. I can't remember what it is. But I do grind some of my own, and I did try that out with my monitor. So I did just regular, like sandwich loaf with the ground up einkorn, just to see what it did with my sugar. And it acted just like it was all-purpose Great Value white flour. So as far as me and myself being diabetic, my reaction to the ancient grains was the same. So I'm still working on that.
That was not with sourdough.
Working on that. Yeah, not the sourdough, but just regular
yeast bread,
regular unfermented flours. Yes, I can't tolerate that, but not saying somebody else can't.
Yeah, right. But you know that just for yourselves and your experience, sourdough is the way to go for you if you particularly want to enjoy bread, knowing that it doesn't do all those extra spikes to your blood sugar the way the regular, yeast breads do.
Yes. And be careful buying it from the store, because a lot of sourdough store-bought loaves, they will put in additional live enzymes or enzyme flavoring or some kind of manufactured cultures, or they will just flat out put vinegar in it to make it sour. And it's regular white bread with vinegar in it. So be very careful when you buy sourdough I actually don't buy sourdough from the store because I don't know how they made it. And I'm sure a factory is not going to sit there and let it ferment like it's supposed to. You know, they've got their machines that are going to speed up the process. So I don't trust store-bought sourdough to give me the same benefits that I am physically looking for being a diabetic.
Okay.
I have a question on the flour because recently, because of health stuff with myself, I switched all of my bleached flour, sugar, all of that kind of stuff to the unbleached. Now I get mine from Azure Standard. I have noticed when making bread that the measurements are different. Like my old recipe that I used to just put bleached flour in, when I do equal parts of the unbleached, it's a little too heavy. Is that the same with sourdough? Like, is it the same if you're whether you're using the Great Value or using the one from Azure Standard, the unbleached one? Is it the same measurements at what we're going to talk about going forward? Or
I've never ran into that problem.
okay.
When starting your sourdough starter, though, if that's the flour you're using, we're going to put that to the test.
Okay.
And I'm going to show you I'm going to show you two different ways making the starter, and we're going to see if there's any difference.
Okay.
Now, when I first started out, and the starter that I sell on my Etsy store online, it's actually done with King Arthur, unbleached, organic, whatever it is, the King Arthur brand. That's what I sell on my Etsy store. So I make that specific to itself. And then I have another one I keep in the refrigerator for me just whenever I want to make a little something. And I'll just freshen it up every now and then. And like I said, I use the Great Value all-purpose to make all of my event show vendor breads that I sell. Yep. So we'll see what happens with yours versus ours.
Yes. So y'all, you're listening to it now. Before we get started, remember we go live. It will be tomorrow. Now we pre-record, so it won't necessarily for us be tomorrow, but it'll be enough time that we will get to see tomorrow on our live how me and Monica's sourdough starter is doing. How is it doing? Have we killed it? Have I broke down and bought cases off of Etsy? Possibly.
Right. Well, let's hope. We can hope. So let's get started. What do we do first?
Okay, so you don't have to get a whole lot of equipment. And like I said, I'm going to show you two different ways. And the first way I'm going to process for our technical people, because there are some people out there that need numbers, they need science, they need a recipe. That's where I'm going to do it first.
Okay.
So for that one, you do need some kind of scale. This is just a kitchen scale, and you don't have to do this one with me if you don't have one just yet, but you need a kitchen scale. And I'm going to make this because I want to show you the difference, because I'm going to do one without a scale. And I want everyone to be able to do a starter, so I want to show you the one without the scale as well. So if you're technical, want numbers, want to follow a recipe, we're going to use a scale. The other things you would need is a jar, and it needs to be clean, preferably sterilized, hot water, soap, dishwasher, or something. It needs to be clean. And then the other things you need are something to start with. Monica, get your hand out of the jar. So you need something to start with. Yes. Anything. Now, I like a butter knife because it is flat. And I like one that doesn't have any designs on it so it doesn't get all in the cracks. Because after I get done, and my hands are washed, after I get done, I'm just going to take my fingers and slide down the knife and get it all off. If you use a spoon, it's going to get caught in the spoon, and it's kind of hard to rake it off, and you're going to have a little extra sitting in the spoon. Now, there are other ways that you can stir it. You've got these paddles. There's silicone stirrers, and then there's like these little spoons you can use if you want to be all fancy and go wooden. But we're just keeping it simple. We're just going to use, I've got to dirty up too, but we're going to use the knife for the unscaled one, and I'm going to use my pretty silicone one for the one on the scale because it all matches.
Okay, good. That's a perfectly good reason.
So, right. So to start, we are going to put our jar, and I'm sorry you can't see this, but we're going to put our jar on the scale. I like to put it on there first and hit the power button because that is going to even it out, and it's going to say 0. What that means is that it is tared out, or you can turn it on sit your jar on there, and then hit the tear button, and it's going to level it out. Either way you want to do it is fine, as long as it reads 0 with your jar. Do what?
What unit do we have to be on?
Grams. We're doing grams.
Oh.
Yeah, all the cooking specifics over sourdough recipes and baking are going to be in grams. Okay, everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right. And so what I like to do is I'm going to start with our water. And all I'm going to do is start with 50 grams. So we're going to slowly pour it in because water's pretty heavy. And then if you go over, make sure you take some out. It doesn't have to be on a T.
Oops.
It could be like 0.5 over or under or whatever. It doesn't have to be exact.
I have to take a swallow. Oh, God.
Okay, so we got 50 grams
I
of
was
water.
putting my hand in the jar. She's swigging it over here.
Okay, and
I can get away with it.
the water temperature does not matter as long as it's not hot. Now, for you mamas out there, this is going to be the temperature on the back of the hand for a baby bottle or cooler. So no hotter. So if you drop water on the back of your hand or on your wrist, if you feel the heat, it's too hot. If you do not feel it or it's too cold, it's perfect. Okay. So since this one's going to be sitting out at room temperature, we're just going to use room temperature or cool water. It doesn't matter. Now to this, I've got my water in there and it's about on my jar here. It's about 2 ounces, but you don't want to have to go off of that. So we're going to weigh it 50 grams. Now to this, we're going to add 50 grams of flour. I'm going to get a spoon because I've got a 5-gallon bucket down here I'm dripping out of. So tear your scale if you're measuring to bring it back to 0 or go to 100 if you leave the 50 on there. Either way, we've got 50 water and 50 flour.
I can't drink the flour now.
That's why I'm using a spoon, so I can spoon it out. And you'll notice that the flour is going to be a little bit less than the water because water is pretty heavy.
50 ounces. Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so here's mine. It's unmixed. Yep, looks good, looks good. Okay, and so we're just going to stir it up. And I'm going to use the red one, my silicone, and we're just going to stir it up. Mix it, mix it, mix it. And it should look like that. Pretty thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should look like biscuit dough. I say it looks like drop biscuit dough.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, so how is yours, Kacy? Is yours, that what yours look like?
Yeah, it looks like a good old biscuit dough. I don't know if I can get
Okay.
it to the camera.
Yep. Okay, now we're going to wait about 10 or 15 minutes if we have that long. We're going to look at yours again before we get off because yours is going to absorb more water. We're going to see if it's still the same. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Right there in front of the microphone.
Is this the time we have to scrape?
Yeah, you can go ahead and get it off. Yeah.
With clean hands, of course.
Yes.
All those viewers are going to want to come for us in the comments.
If you have bacteria on your hands, it's going to get in your jar. So make sure you have clean hands. And I'm just going to wipe my fingers off.
I hope I have clean
Now
hands.
this one I'm going to lay this one on top so I know this one is the weighed jar and I'm gonna set it to the side. Now real quick, I'm gonna eyeball this and show you that I can make the same consistency just by eyeballing it and doing it. So I'm just gonna pour a little bit of water in here. I'm not gonna be specific. I'm just gonna pour a little water and then I'm gonna go in with flour. I'm just gonna scoop in here until I measure with my heart. So I'm going to show you how to fix it if it's too much or too little. So I've got my knife. And this is really watery. Well, I can't really see it on mine. It's really watery. Bubbly, watery. It drips off the knife. So I need to add a little bit more flour because we're trying to get that biscuit dough consistency. So you might go back 1 or 2 times, too much water, too much flour, too much water, too much flour. And that's okay because you're still going to get the same consistency. Yep. And there it is. I have no clue how much this weighs, but it's the same consistency. And that's what I want every time I feed it. I want that thick biscuit dough consistency.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I just take my fingers and just rake it off the knife back into the jar. Okay. Now, that's all. That's all for today. But what I need you guys to do is write down in your notes what I'm fixing to tell you in order for you to make this thing living. Because you got instructions that are coming with it.
Okay.
Okay, day 2, you're going to do exactly what you did today. 50 grams flour, 50 grams water. Or double what you did in the unscaled jar. So if you've got, say, this is about a 1/4 cup, I'm going to make enough for at least 1/2 cup. So if you made a 1/4 cup, you're going to feed it a 1/4 cup. So just eyeball it. Like mark on your jar, you can take a Sharpie or a dry erase marker, mark on your jar, and then feed it enough to at least double that in your unscaled jar. Or do 50-50 like we just fed. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Day 3. Day 3, you're going to take out half. So if you fed 50 and 50, that means it's 100. Day 2 is 50 and 50, means 100. So you should have 200 in the scaled, the weighted sourdough starter. You're going to take out half of it. So you're going to take out 100. Okay.
Okay.
And then on your unscaled, your unweighed, you're going to take it back down to that first mark. Okay. Simple. You're going to do that every day until day 10.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. You're going to do that every day until day 10. That's why you don't need a very big starter starting out. You don't need this starting out thinking it's all big and pretty because you're taking half of it out and throwing it away every day. Now, there is a lot of conspiracy, and I'm going to touch on this. There's a lot of conspiracy on whether to throw it away or not. Okay. Now, if you get into this, try to stay off the internet. just come watch my YouTube channel, and I'll tell you everything.
And round the hay bale.
Stay off the internet as much as possible. I know a lot of people get on there and they're like, I need to learn what everybody's doing. I need to learn the process. First of all, there are no rules to sourdough. Okay. But the conspiracy between throwing it away and not throwing it away is the first 10 days, they say, grows bacteria that is unsafe to eat. My opinion on that is if I was to cook that flour that was less than 10 days old fermented, it's not going to make me sick because I've eaten it all my life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If we bake bread, we're going to leave it out. That's uncooked or the unfermented flour. We're going to leave the bread on the counter. It's still the same thing, in my opinion. But if you want to be safe, you can throw the first 10 days away. I don't care what you do with it. You can save it, put it in a jar in a refrigerator. You can throw it away. I don't care what you do with it. But you need to take out half every single day and feed it the equal amount. So what you're doing is you are taking out the abundance of food for the small amount of yeast that you have. So by taking out half of it, you're decreasing your yeast by half. So you're only having to feed half of the people. Okay. I use this online on my YouTube channel, Feeding People with a Buffet. So you've got your whole jar, which is all your people. You've got to feed it equal amounts of buffet food to eat. So when you take out half, you're only going to feed it half back, if that makes sense.
So on
you got half the people.
Homestead.
You got half the people, you're going to feed it half as much of food as you normally would because you've taken half out. So you're going to do that for 10 days. What that does is it allows the half people to eat slowly over those 10 days without engorging them. You don't get the whole buffet at once. You get half the buffet. So if
Okay,
that
so
makes sense. Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
So on day 3, I take out half, and I do
Yep.
that every day until day 10. But
Yep.
every day I also add half back. I mean,
Yes. Yes.
so
You
you
take
add
out the
and after I've taken the half out.
you take out half and then you feed it equal parts.
And we're going to make sure that this is in the show notes for those that are watching this on YouTube. We're going to put what Kacy said. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm going to copy and paste the transcripts that StreamYard is telling us in the show notes. Because this, from what I'm hearing, I'm like, Kacy, how in the world did I not keep one alive? Because it seems very simple.
Yeah.
Like as long as you take out, you feed.
Yeah.
Take out.
That's it.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Now, a couple of tips. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no,
I
mean,
go ahead, Ann.
no, after, okay, I have this. Do you put a lid on it?
That's what I was going to ask. What is your lid preference? Because there's a lot of conspiracy. There's a lot of you shouldn't do this. You should do a paper towel. No, you should do a solid lid. No, you should do
Coffee filter.
yeah, coffee.
Okay.
Well, I've done coffee filters, and that's probably the one that actually worked for me the best. But
Yeah.
people were telling me how horrible it is, and so I don't go on Facebook. And do not go on the Facebook sourdough pages. I'm just warning all y'all right now. These people are crazy, and they will bite you. They will bite you.
Yes.
I
Okay.
see
So
Kacy
my
in them
preference,
sometimes. She's good.
my preference is just going to be a loose lid, like Ann was saying. Just you can lay a lid on it. You can put a ring on it. Just don't tighten it all the way down.
Okay.
You can put some parchment on top and then put a ring on that. What you don't want to do is have that open airiness. People are going to say you want to have a cloth on top. You want to have the coffee filter, the paper towel. They're going to tell you that. But what that does is you don't know what's floating around in your air. And you don't want those mold and dust particles falling into your sourdough.
Well, I've also heard that the
And-
sourdough, I mean the coffee filters and the paper towels actually allow the sourdough to dry out faster.
It will. That was my next thing. Is it's going to dry out on top. It's going to get the crusties on top and it's going to dry out. So whenever you go to mix it, you're kind of losing yeast because you've dried it out. You've got to keep everything wet. So I just like this, my big one right here. This is Olivia. My big one, this is a gallon pickle jar. And I have another sourdough jar sitting back there. I just borrowed the top and just lay it on top because I lost the lid.
Okay. And so, but when I'm getting ready to take my 50% out, do I stir it up first?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do.
And like Kacy did, you used a metal for us knife. And when I first started too, people were like, don't you ever use anything metal? And I'm like, what is this? Like,
it's aluminum. You
aluminum.
can't use aluminum.
Okay.
This is stainless steel.
Yeah, I've got stainless steel as well.
Yeah.
So as long as you're not
Anybody
using
has aluminum. Nobody uses aluminum anymore.
Yeah, probably not. So stainless
Not
steel.
really.
Okay.
Yeah. Stainless steel is fine.
Okay, good.
Let's see. What else was it?
So after your 10 days,
But when you have, okay, so I have my lid and it's loose and I'm feeding it and robbing it and feeding it and robbing it. And then what do you store it on the counter or do you store it in the refrigerator?
You store it on the counter because what it's doing is collecting the yeast from your air.
Oh.
So you are growing the natural yeast in your environment, in your house. So that's why you may not be ready to do anything with this starter in 10 days. The 10-day cutoff is that opinionated whatever of the bacteria not being safe to eat or whatever. So you just do that until day 10 and kind of see where you're at. So let me also throw in there, during these 10 days, you might get a false rise. You might see it double. You might see some bubbles. You might start seeing it and think, oh my gosh, I'm ready to bake. I'm ready to bake. You're not. It's a false rise and it will go back down. That may happen 1 or 2 days in a row and then it won't do anything for 3 or 4 days. So don't get disappointed. Make it to day 10 and assess where you are. Now, when you get to day 10, you can go ahead and continue to feed it. Take half out and feed it, double in size. And do that as long as you can until you get 3 consecutive days of rise. That's
Okay.
when you know that your yeast is active and you are building it. So you want to feed it, take half out and feed it every day until you start seeing it double in size. Now I want to clarify that means it goes from this mark here up there. It's going to double. Now, a big thing that I see people because when I sell my sourdough starter, you get a mentorship. You get my phone number and you can call me or whatever you want to do. Cry, scream, send me pictures, whatever, like stabbing knife with your bread because it failed. Contact me. And that's how I teach you. Well, when people contact me, a lot of them, they are under the assumption when your starter doubles, that means you have twice as much. It does not mean you have twice as much. It just means it's full of air bubbles. And when you have air bubbles, you're bloated. It doesn't mean there's twice as much of you. It just means that the air bubbles has pushed it up to make it grow. The air bubbles is, can I say the F word? Your air bubbles is from the yeast eating the bacteria. And when the good yeast eats the bacteria, it farts.
Oh, Monica's over there thinking you're talking about another F word.
You can say some of the F words, but not.
Yeah, it farts. And that's what makes the bubbles. Like when you eat cabbage, the cabbage bacteria is eating the bad bacteria in your gut and it gives you gas.
So cabbage farts are good?
Yes. So a lot of people don't eat it because they're like, oh, it gives me horrible gas. But the more you eat, the less gas you'll have. In a human perspective. In sourdough starter, the more it farts, the better it is, and the bigger and bubblier it's going to be.
You want it to fart. You want
farting is good. You've heard it here first. Farting is good.
Hashtag. Farting is good.
Too. Need a shirt for that.
Yeah, you put that on a shirt for real.
So now, once you're feeding it every single day, can you put it in the refrigerator or should you keep it on the counter?
You need to keep it on the counter until you get those 3 consecutive days.
Okay.
Because when you put it in, you can, if you're going away, you can put it in the refrigerator. But let me put a little asterisk in here saying that when you do that, it puts your yeast to sleep. It's cold. They go cozy. They go to sleep. And whenever you do that, it slows down your progress. So when you take it back out, you may be behind 2 or 3 days. Not the 2 or 3 days you were gone, but when you take it out, it may take you 2 or 3 extra days to get caught back up. Okay? Because it's still immature. It's still very young. The yeast are still very young.
Okay, so quick question too.
Yep.
Miss Ann, she's got a busy schedule. And in 14 days from now, she's got a busy day. Okay. So let's just say that Tuesday is absolutely busy for her. She's not going to be home until 8 p.m. She knows it's going to be late. She can put in her mind, okay, I need to feed my sourdough. But what happens if she's already got like 1 rise or maybe 2 rises in and she's getting there because now it's 14 days in, but she forgets to feed it that Tuesday?
Okay.
What do we do Wednesday morning? Are we freaking out?
It's okay.
Okay.
It'll be fine. What it's going to do is it's going to show you signs of getting hungry. What that's going to look like is it's going to get watery. It's going to get really thin, like thin pancake batter. Okay. And that's okay. What happens is, how best to explain this? So you heard of hooch. And if you haven't, I'm going to tell you what it is. So when it gets hungry, the flour starts getting heavy. It starts going to sleep. There's nothing to eat, so it's not active. So it kind of goes dormant on itself. When the flour settles, the water comes up and it creates hooch. The longer it sits there, the more acid it's going to build. So it's going to start smelling like fingernail polish remover. And that is okay. It's going to turn black. It will turn black. Okay.
I mean, this is like days, man. This is like you left it for days.
Let me see if I got one in the refrigerator. Hang on.
And when you put it in the fridge and it goes dormant, it gets like that too. My sister had one that was like this thick in the fridge, and the whole top of it was this like dark black liquid.
Yeah.
And
she think it is horrible.
Yeah. She's like, you think I could use this? I'm like, yeah, girl, I'm pretty sure you can. She
Yep.
dumped off the hooch,
Yep.
majority of it. I think she had a little bit left, stirred it all up, poured a little bit into a container and made it active again. She baked bread with it like 4 days later.
Yes.
Like she just kind of let it come back to life. But
the only thing with leaving a little bit of hooch in there is it's going to throw off your pH.
Yeah.
And what that does is it keeps your starter acidic. And when it's too acidic, it's not going to have the strength to rise bread.
So make sure if you do get the hooch, pour all of it off.
And what I even do when it starts getting gray or black and smelling like fingernail polish remover, I do pour the hooch off, but I also pour off about 3/4 of it, of the starter, into another jar and feed what's on the bottom. Because everything up top is real acidic, and you only want to feed about a tablespoon or so of that starter. And you got to do a fresh feeding is what they call it, a fresh feeding to level out that acidity.
Which is 50 and 50, right? 50 grams, 50 grams. 50 grams
you can do whatever you want, but yeah.
Okay.
You're going to make it that thick consistency like the biscuit mix. So if Miss Ann misses a day, it's not going to be the end of the world. She may see a little bit of that liquid, and that's okay. It's not going to be like brown or gray right away, Miss Ann, I promise. It's just like a little, it'll look like a little water on the top.
I've trusted
you may not even see the water. You may not even see the water after one day. It'll just be really, really thin and real thick on the bottom. Like it'll be paste on the bottom and it'll be real thin towards the top. So whenever you stir it, it'll be really watery. So all you need to do is I would stir it up because you need to get what's on the bottom off and then take your 50 off and then put, your 50% back in there and stir it up and get it the thickness that you need it back to. Yeah.
So if you forget a day, don't panic. Just call Kacy.
Just call Kacy. Okay.
That's fine.
Just be like, I got this.
I won't answer.
No, you got to call Lady Boots. You can't be calling Kacy with a C. Kacy with a K.
Bounty Homestead, here I come.
Okay, so I think I was gonna say we are like way beyond our time, but this has been such a cool episode because it's really something that I think a lot of people want to do. They really want to learn how to do this, and they're just afraid to do it because it feels so ominous. It feels like something that because you're like responsible for another life somehow.
Yeah.
And because people do name it. I mean, they named their sourdough, right? So anyway, I mean, seriously though, Kacy, I am so excited you were able to come and do this. And I hope that you can pop in when we go live tomorrow, but later. Right. And we can all show you the beautiful bounty of
living starters.
Our living starters. Maybe we have baked somebody, but I don't know how long ago this is going to be before it comes out, but maybe we have something that's been baked. I don't know. What is it, Kacy, in a couple weeks?
I was going to add that in regards to your starter after the 10 days, it might take you up to a month to get it going good. So don't get discouraged. So we've got time to see whose is going to live and whose is not. It's okay. It's fine. But don't get discouraged if you hit that 10-day mark and it hasn't done anything. Keep going. You might not just have enough yeast in the air. Like Monica, she's really humid, whereas and Kacy's really humid, whereas Andale may not be as humid. So there may be a little less yeast in Ann's rather than Monica's, or something or rather than mine, because I'm kind of in the middle of all you. So don't give up, don't get frustrated because you don't see any activity. Keep going.
That's awesome. I'm excited. I am super excited to see who's comes out and how we fare. I know Miss Ann is super busy with stuff. And so again, I just want to make sure. So if you're going along with us, I hope you have joined us doing this today. And I will challenge you guys, everybody out there. If you're scared of this, don't be afraid of it. You heard us do it here. You saw us do it here. Go get you a jar, go get your flour, get your water. Make sure it's nice and clean. Don't put your hand in the jar like I did. I had my kid bring me in 2 very clean jars and get your starter started. You can be just a day behind us if you want and get it going so that when we go live, you will be able to have your starter and ready, starting to go and know that you've got your stuff going too. So yes, Kacy, you have something else?
Just one more thing.
Okay.
Whenever you do get your starter active, don't start baking bread. Learn your starter and it being active for 2 weeks. So make brownies and cookies and muffins and cupcakes and make all the good yummy stuff and get your kids all hyped up. Make all of that stuff for at least 2 weeks. Learn how your starter reacts to the environment because it's brand new. You're both learning each other, and do that for at least 2 weeks before you start making bread. That should put it at about 4, 5, maybe 6 weeks old and strong enough to make bread.
So you're saying use the discard and use those type of discard recipes, or no?
Yeah. Whenever you're feeding, whenever you're still doing like the 3 to 10 day, if
Yeah.
you continue on after that, but you can go ahead and start using once it gets active and bubbly. You don't have to keep discarding after those 3 days. Whenever it's nice and bubbly and everything,
Yeah.
you don't have to keep discarding after that. Just take it off and use it like you're doing the discard.
Yeah.
But don't use it in bread products that have to have the big full yeast for the rise. You can
Okay.
use it in cakes and brownies and cookies and stuff that are
Yeah.
a little flatter and denser.
Yeah. I was going to say, I have a sourdough discard. It's a Hawaiian bread, sourdough discard Hawaiian roll. So a Hawaiian bread. So you can actually you're using the sourdough discard. You're not using it at full force, and you are adding a little bit of yeast. It's still using the sourdough starter, and you're able to use it. And I did a video on that because that was the only way I could make bread at first with my sourdough discard, because I didn't want to dive into the whole artisan bread thing. It was scary.
I'm
Yes,
just
you
glad brownies. I heard
You
brownies
can add a tablespoon
out
of
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brownies, all the stuff. Hey, I've got a donut recipe that's amazing, Kacy. So I'm just saying for the discard. So hey, there's so much you can do with the discard too. Okay. So thank you so much again, Kacy, so much for coming in. I am so excited to be able to share this with everybody. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for our live stream where we're going to be live, and we're going to be able to show you our starter and see how far we've got and all the recipe the progress. Maybe even tell you some recipes. Maybe we can share recipes that we're wanting to try, or maybe that we have tried up until now, if we have gotten there yet. So anyway, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for coming in, and we hope you come back tomorrow. Until next time, bye y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Bale and Friends, and Kacy and Monica.